Jay-Z's name is back in headlines, and this time it's not about a new album or another surprise appearance. Nope, this time it's way more personal. A young man named Ramir, who's been claiming for years that he's Jay-Z's son, has finally been granted a chance to move forward with his paternity case, and the internet is absolutely buzzing. The judge has officially ordered Jay-Z to respond to the legal filing with a deadline stamped July 18. And it's not just a routine celebrity rumor anymore. There are documents, witnesses, wild accusations, and even other A-listers like 50 Cent and Nicki Minaj jumping into the drama. Now, let's rewind for a second. Ramir's story isn't new. He's been shouting into the void for over a decade, saying his mom, Wanda, had a one-night thing with Jay-Z back in 1992. According to him, they met in Philly, hooked up in Brooklyn, and that was it. Jay ghosted. Wanda ended up pregnant, and though she originally listed her then-boyfriend on the birth certificate, he was ruled out by a DNA test in 2011. That left just one other guy in the picture, Sean Corey Carter, yeah, Jay-Z. But for years, Jay has refused to take a DNA test. Why? That's where things start to feel off. Here's where it gets stickier. At the time of their alleged encounter, Wanda was just 16. Jay-Z was 22. If what Ramir is saying is true, that's not just shady. It could have been a criminal offense. And that might explain why Jay's legal team has worked so hard to bury the story and keep it out of court. Because this case is not just about whether Jay-Z is someone's father, it's about whether he committed a serious crime and spent decades covering it up. And the cover-up theory? It's got legs. Ramir's godmother has gone public, saying Beyoncé herself tried to shut the whole thing down. Allegedly, a friend from her camp once said something like, "Tell that little boy to go away." Now, obviously that's not confirmed, but it does line up with Ramir's claims that powerful people were trying to silence him. He even said people came to his house late at night trying to enter through the back door. That's not just celebrity beef. That sounds like intimidation. But then came the twist nobody expected. 50 Cent and Nicki Minaj got involved. 50's been reposting Ramir's case all over his socials, stirring the pot like he always does. And Nicki? She added fuel to the fire, hinting that this might be why Jay-Z was trending in the first place. She even reposted some of 50's content, adding a cryptic "To God be the glory" on top. That wasn't just passive interest, that was her co-signing the narrative. And just when it looked like things couldn't get messier, there's now chatter about a much darker angle. Claims that Jay-Z was allegedly part of some immoral transport situation that led to Ramir being born. Now, we don't have receipts on that yet, but the fact that a judge is letting this case move forward speaks volumes. If it were completely baseless, why not toss it out again like before? Let's be real. Jay-Z's not known for running from a fight. If someone falsely accuses him, he sues without hesitation. But this case? Crickets. He's been ducking it for years. No response, no DNA test, just silence. And now the silence is finally catching up with him. The court documents dropped like a bomb. The judge wrote that Jay-Z's legal team must respond to the complaint filed by Lily Coley versus Sean Corey Carter, granting the ex parte application and stamping the order with a firm deadline. This wasn't some blog rumor or a messy Twitter thread. This was a legal green light. Suddenly, Ramir's years of being brushed off and shut down had a real shot at turning into something concrete. And this isn't just a win for Ramir. It's a shift in the energy surrounding the whole case. For years, it felt like he was screaming into a void. His attempts to push for a paternity test were blocked over and over, with judges claiming jurisdiction issues or that Jay-Z didn't technically reside in New Jersey, so there was nothing they could do. But Ramir wasn't backing down. He kept showing up with paperwork, facts, and what he says are receipts that prove Jay-Z had property in the state at the time. One of the biggest bombs, Ramir says Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's own mother, wrote in her book that Jay did in fact have New Jersey property. That's not just a technicality. If true, it would completely destroy Jay-Z's argument for why he shouldn't be required to take the DNA test in that jurisdiction. Suddenly, this stops being a he said, she said thing and becomes a legitimate case with legal footing. The internet picked up on it quickly, and so did Ramir's growing lists of supporters. It's almost like the tables have finally started turning. But even with that momentum, the story is riddled with shadows. Ramir's not just talking about being ignored, he's talking about being followed, intimidated, and even shot at. He claims someone fired at his car after he filed a civil suit, and he posted pictures of the damage. He also says something was planted inside his vehicle before he was pulled over. If any of that is true, it's beyond dirty. That's not just PR management, that's straight up intimidation. And here's where it starts to connect in a much darker way. Remember Damori Hadley, the estranged daughter of Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez. She came forward recently with her own explosive claims. According to Damori, Roc Nation has been actively suppressing people's voices, especially Nicki Minaj's. She said they sabotaged Nicki professionally, attacked her family, and tried to silence her platform. She even said, if it happened to me and I'm the CEO's daughter, imagine what they've done to others. That hit hard because now it's not just Ramir saying he's been silenced, Nicki's speaking up, Damori's backing that up. There's a pattern starting to show, and it doesn't look good for Jay-Z or Roc Nation. Nicki's not even being subtle anymore. She's gone on record saying she's been professionally blackballed, that Jay-Z owes her money, and that she's been shadow banned online. And now she's standing right next to Ramir, reposting his story, putting pressure on Jay to respond. This isn't some fan conspiracy anymore. It's turning into a high-profile dogpile on one of the most powerful men in music. So where does that leave Jay-Z? Cornered. The court's involved, celebs are circling, receipts are being posted, and the public is watching every move like hawks. For the first time in years, Jay might actually have to show up, speak up, and take the test. And if he doesn't, the silence might say more than any DNA test ever could. Ramir isn't asking for a check. He's not out here begging for fame, clout, or someplace at Jay-Z's table. What he wants is way more personal. The truth. That's what makes this case hit different. He's not chasing a last name or a payout. He's chasing clarity. He's said it plainly. If Jay-Z isn't his father, then take the test, prove it, and shut this all down. But if he is, then say it out loud and stop hiding. For Ramir, it's about dignity, not dollars. His frustration isn't just with Jay-Z, it's with the entire legal system. He's been calling out what he describes as years of fraudulent behavior from judges and lawyers, claiming they've deliberately dragged the case into a maze of delays and dismissals. He believes this legal red tape wasn't by accident. It was strategic, a game of power, money, and influence where truth was never the goal. Ramir's even said illegal liens were placed on his family's home using false court orders. To him, this was never a fair fight. And what's wild is how much of this has played out right in public view. Jay-Z's legal team argued that he couldn't be forced to take a DNA test in New Jersey because he didn't own property there. But when Ramir produced receipts pointing back to Jay-Z's own inner circle confirming that he did, it left folks wondering how much longer that defense could hold up. Then you've got people saying Jay-Z's team tried to settle this privately years ago, discussing potential music opportunities for Ramir, even considering signing him to Roc Nation. But when Ramir's godmother insisted he finish high school first, everything went cold. Suddenly, lawyers backed off and doors slammed shut. There's another layer here that's even heavier. If Jay-Z did hook up with Wanda when she was 16 and he was 22, then this isn't just about a paternity test. It opens the door to serious legal implications. Crossing state lines, sleeping with a minor. It's not just morally questionable, it could be criminal. And that's likely one reason Jay's camp has fought so hard to avoid any sort of public court proceeding. Because once that gets laid out in front of a judge, it becomes a whole different story. Meanwhile, Ramir hasn't exactly been silent. He's posted interviews, court filings, and even detailed encounters where he claims people tried to harm or intimidate him. According to him, someone tried to kill him, straight up. He said people followed him, shot at his car, and tried to send a message. That's not normal behavior in a paternity case. That's something darker, something dangerous. And when you step back and see the bigger picture, it gets even more disturbing. The intimidation claims, the shadow banning, the industry suppression, it all echoes the stuff Nicki Minaj and Demery Hadley have been saying about Roc Nation. Different stories, but the same pattern. Powerful people allegedly silencing voices they don't like and doing it behind the scenes. Ramir's not scared anymore. He's got receipts, he's got people backing him, and now he's got the court's attention. The deadline is set. Jay-Z has to respond. No more hiding, no more stalling, no more excuses. This isn't a rap beef or a PR scandal. It's a young man trying to get closure. All eyes are on what happens next, because for the first time in this decades-long fight, Ramir might finally get the one thing he's been denied all along: the truth.